Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Under the Radar Books. This is Brittany and today I want to do my January wrap up. And I read 11 books in January, which was awesome, and I'm halfway through another one. So I'm going to start with the books that I read at the beginning of the month and then the ones that I read more recently. So the first book that I read this year was Fates and Furies by Groff, and this was a buddy read with Mercedes over at Mercy's Bookish Musings, and I will link her channel down below. I also did a review for this, so I'm not going to go into it too much. I will also leave a link to my review if you want to check it out. I absolutely loved this. It was so much more than I was expecting. It is a story of a marriage. The man is named Bellotto and the woman is named Mathilde, and it follows their life from when they are children until they are much older and all of their struggles that they have, and it was just a really, really powerful read, and I love the writing style, so I would definitely recommend this to everyone, and I gave this one 5 stars. Next up, I finished The Subtle Knife, which is the second book in the His Dark Materials trilogy by Pullman. I listened to this on audiobook and read a little bit from the book, and I did enjoy it. I definitely wasn't blown away by it. I think I enjoyed the first one a little bit more. I gave it 4 stars and I gave the second one 3 stars. I will be reading the final installment at some point. I do think I'm going to take a little break. I'm not a person who likes to binge read series, and so I kind of like to have spacing in between because sometimes I get burned out on the storyline or the characters or the world or whatnot. So I think I'm going to take a little break, and maybe in March I'll pick up the last ones. Yeah, it was an enjoyable experience. If you don't know what this series is about, it is about a young girl who lives in a world where everyone has a demon. It's like a small creature that can shapeshift into different animals, and they get wrapped up in a big conspiracy, and there's a lot of things involving religion and humanity, and it's very interesting, and it's a lot more complex than I thought it would be for a children's book. Next up, I read Crystal Eaters by Shane Jones, and I read this during the TBR Takedown readathon, and I read this really quickly. It was definitely an enjoyable read. I gave it 3 stars. I wasn't blown away by it, but I did enjoy the writing. It was very interesting and a quirky book. I will definitely hang on to it because I could definitely see myself rereading it at some point. And the storyline follows a world where everybody has a crystal count, and as they get older, or they start at 100 crystals, and as they get older, the crystals diminish, or if they are sick or hurt, then obviously the crystal count goes down a lot faster. And something I really did enjoy about this book, not only is it beautiful and it has French flaps and deckled edges, but it also starts backwards. I don't know if that makes sense. It starts with the highest chapter number and the highest page count, and then it goes down as you read through, which I thought was a really interesting, and it deals a lot with the crystal count and the storyline and stuff, so I thought that was really interesting. I would recommend it if you're into quirky books. Next, during the readathon, I read Everything by Nicola Yoon. I had to take it back to the library, but I will put a picture up here. It is a YA contemporary. I really, really enjoyed it. It's about a young girl who is allergic to everything. She cannot leave her house. Only her nurse and her mother have contact with her, and she meets her neighbor, a boy across the street, and a relationship ensues. And it was very enjoyable, a very quick read. There's illustrations inside, and it has like IM messages and emails, so it was very interesting writing style, which I really enjoyed. So if you're in the mood for a YA contemporary book, I would highly recommend it. Next up, I finished Locke Key Volume 2 by Joe Hill, and I loved it just as much as the first. It is so wonderful. The artwork is just something that I absolutely love. I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it kind of reminds me of like video game artwork, which I love video games, so it just, I don't know, it just really, really is awesome to me. It's very dark. It's a horror graphic novel story. I don't want to give away too much because we haven't read the first one. I don't want to give anything away, but if you like horror and you like graphic novels, please pick this one up. I gave it 5 stars also. Next up, I finished The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan, and this was a buddy read with Lauren over at Lauren and the Books, and we had a great time with this one. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know if I will change my rating to a little bit higher, just depending on how much it sticks with me, but I loved it so much. It is about the two main characters are 2 young girls who live in this post-apocalyptic world where the earth is mostly covered in water. There are people that live on the land and people that live on the water. One of the girls is a part of a traveling circus, and she has a bear. She's a bear trainer. And the other girl are what is called Gracekeepers, and they basically bury the dead underwater. And it's very interesting. Their stories end up intertwining, and it's a very quick read, beautiful writing. Kirsty Logan is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors, and I cannot wait to read A Portable Shelter, which I own, and also to see what else she's going to put out in the near future. So highly recommended. Next up, I read Alex and Ada Volume 1, and I gave this one 5 stars. It is so good. It is about a young man who lives in a future time where artificial intelligence is everywhere. Everything's very technologically advanced, and most people have robots and AI intelligence. A while back, there was a massacre where robots turned on humans and killed a lot of people, but things have kind of turned around, and there's new higher technology, and AIs are being reintroduced into households. So this young man, his grandmother buys him an AI for his birthday, and at first he doesn't want her, and she's just, you know, like a robot. She has no feelings. She's just very kind of like stone cold to him, and so he decides to do some research and try to figure out how he can make her more like a human. So if you can't already guess, it does turn into a love story between this AI and human, and it was just wonderful. So I can't recommend it enough. Next, I read The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer, and this was my BookTube Recommends project pick for the month of January. This was recommended to me by Olive over at A Book Olive, and this was a difficult one for me to rate. I did enjoy it. I gave it 3 stars in the end, but I don't know. I didn't feel connected to the characters. The characters in this book are some teenagers that meet at an art camp, and they call themselves the Interestings, and it follows them throughout their lifetime once they've grown up, who they marry, their jobs, and things like that. And I don't know if it was just the right book at the wrong time kind of situation. I wasn't in the mood for it, but it just didn't really click with me. I can see why a lot of people loved it, but for me, it just wasn't, it didn't quite work. So it's not that I hated it, it's not that I loved it, it was just kind of in the middle. So 3 stars for this one. And next, I read The Blue Girl by Laurie Foos, which I also have a review up. I will link that down below. I loved this so much. This is probably my favorite read of the year so far. And it follows a small town where there happens to live a blue girl. And it switches off between viewpoints between the mothers and daughters in this town. And we quickly learn that the mothers are baking their secrets into moon pies and feeding them to the blue girl, kind of to get rid of them and to relieve themselves of the pain that keeping these secrets have. And it's a wonderful magical realism story. It is beautiful writing. It's a very quick read, and so I cannot recommend this enough. So if you haven't picked this up, please go hunt it down. It is so great, and it's from Coffee House Press, which is a really wonderful small publisher that I love. Next, I finished Beautiful Darkness by Fabien, Vehlmann, and Kara Scott. And this is a very creepy graphic novel. I don't even know how to describe this. As you can tell, the artwork is very whimsical and it looks light, but the story is so dark and very violent. I gave this 4 stars in the end, and I'm not even sure what I read when I finished. I was kind of like just dumbstruck about the story, but I keep thinking about it, and so I know that it had an impact on me. And so if you like dark fairy tales and things like that, I think you should definitely check this one out. Then I also just finished The Girl Who Slept with God by Val Berlinski. This was a buddy read with Chelsea over at The Reading Outlaw, and this is about a family who is very, very religious. Their oldest daughter, who is kind of like the perfect child, she is a star student, and she decides to go to Mexico to help spread the word of God and to build houses and help people down there. And when she comes back, she claims that she is pregnant from God, that she's going to have God's baby. And it ends up spiraling their family into this dramatic story, and we follow the 2 sisters who actually get sent to live in a house by themselves because the parents don't want the town to know that the daughter is pregnant, and they can't tell whether she's crazy or whether she's actually pregnant with God's baby or if it's just some person that she slept with. And it's very interesting. The narrator is absolutely fantastic, and there's a relationship that goes between the sisters and a man that they meet who happens to drive this ice cream truck, and it's just so fascinating. I give it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what else Val Berlinski's gonna bring out. Those are all the books that I read in January. I'm halfway through Mr. Splitfoot by Samantha Hunt. This was one of my most anticipated releases for January. So the book starts out with Nat and Ruth, who are two orphans that live in this very religious home with lots of other foster kids, and Nat learns that he can speak to the dead. So they start kind of a business and start raising money by being mediums, and we go back and forth between past and present, and Ruth's niece is pregnant, and Ruth shows up, and they end up taking this walking trip across New York State, and she has no idea where Ruth is taking her, and along the way all of these creepy things are happening. There's this man that's following them, and I'm about halfway through right now. I'm really hoping to finish it today. It's a very quick read and I'm really loving it. It's a lot creepier than I thought it was going to be. It's definitely scary, gives me the heebie-jeebies, so I'm excited to see where it goes. I think I had a pretty good reading month and I'm really excited to get started with February, and I have lots of buddy reads planned, and so I think that's gonna be really fun. And my February TBR should be up very shortly, so I will link everybody's channels that I mentioned down below, as well as the titles of all the books. I also recently became an affiliate for Book Depository, so if you guys purchase any books through the link down below, I will get a small commission, which I will use to buy more books for my channel and to share with you. So if you want to do that, that will be wonderful. And thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I hope you have a really, really great week and happy reading.